Hey, everybody. This is Green Bay Packers legend Jordan Love here, saying thanks for tuning in to Two Dads and the Chaz, my favorite Packers podcast. Go ahead and start the show.
Two dads and a Chaz, putting trophies on the wall. Two dads and a Chaz is talking Green Bay Packers football. Not exactly qualified, but answers the call. Two dads and a Chaz talking Green Bay Packers football. We gonna break it all down, probably leave out some facts. We gonna make some statements that we'll likely regret. Mostly gossip and rumors made straight off the top. So crank up the air conditioner, cause it's bound to get hot. Two dads and a Chaz, you know we live it and we live it right. Two dads and a Chaz, we gonna break down football for you tonight. Besides them rings and putting trophies on the wall. Trophies, y'all. Two dads and a Chaz is talking Green Bay Packers football. Yeah, we talking Green Bay Packers football.
Welcome, all you 2D and a C fans out there. God, it's good to be back behind the microphone here. It's been a tumultuous offseason, a lot of transactions, a lot of things to get caught up on. I, of course, am the Porcelain Prince, and joined as always by my best friend, T-Bone, the heart and soul of this podcast. Tyson, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, Aaron Mayhew. Thank you so much for the kind, welcoming words. Guys, it's an honor to be back. It's a big year, big hopes, and nothing bigger to cover than what we're going over today. Mayhew, why don't you go ahead and tell the people what our focus for today is, because it's pretty singular.
That's right, Tyson. That's right. We could talk about some of the smaller acquisitions over the offseason, things like Nate Hobbs at cornerback, Aaron Banks at offensive line, but nobody gives a shit. We could break down the draft even a little bit, Tyson, and perhaps we will, but let's get to the meat and potatoes of this show tonight with the acquisition of Micha Parsons, which I still can't believe. Tyson, where's your head at on this whole thing?
I'm blown away. I'm excited beyond belief. I'll be honest, I never allowed myself the chance of believing this could actually happen. I looked at everything involved, and I just said that's just not reality. I'm letting it go. So when it actually happened, it felt like a major shift had happened in the universe. So I couldn't be more excited. I feel renewed, and I feel like the Packers' expectations have just become a lot more entertaining.
Well said. Well said. I couldn't agree more. When the news came through, it took like multiple forums to like actually double check it. It took me about a week to actually absorb it. And until I see this man on the field, I don't know if I'm going to truly believe it. As we shift into his NFL career, only 4 years in, this guy is still on his rookie contract, right? But Tyson, here's what I can tell you. Never had less than 12 sacks any year of his NFL career. You know the only other person in the NFL history that actually has the same stat, Tyson?
I don't.
Reggie White.
Oh, I've heard of him. He's the greatest defensive end in football to ever live that changed the trajectory of the Green Bay Packers and made us a champion again.
The elite player that some team thought was a viable option to kind of sell him off for a price that I thought was awfully fair, Tyson. Now, the man who sold him off was none other than the Dallas Cowboys owner, Jerry Jones. I feel like you have some hard feels about this, man. Am I wrong?
No, I feel pretty honest and clear in saying that Jerry Jones is the devil and has been since I started watching football. He has represented everything that is evil and bad and is the most billionaire-ish owner of all the teams. He's a marketing genius, that Jerry, but maybe not a good or even bad, might not even be worth it GM. He's terrible. The way he treats his players, he pushes guys to the last year, he overpays in the end. Somehow, even after giving guys hundreds of millions of dollars, they flick him off when he turns around. Like, they hate this guy, even though he pays, because he's the kind of guy that's like, now I'm paying you this. Now, remember who gave you the money. You're just like, God damn it. Thanks, Grandpa. I really appreciate it. I won't forget. Yeah. Now, are you spending all that money I gave you because we were hoping for a win? God damn it, you evil Mr. Rogers. You know, so Yeah, he's the devil, mayhem.
I was just gonna mention, yeah, you're right. His tactics make zero sense, right? The Dak Prescott, they ended up giving him way more money than they could have had they just like negotiated sooner.
Same
They did the
with CeeDee
same
Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb, same fucking thing. And then you were talking right before this pod. As soon as they let Micah Parsons go, they paid this cornerback who I don't know his name. He had decent numbers, but they paid him a fuck ton of money. So I don't understand the approach.
It's
Personally.
not about the money with Jerry. It's about the respect. Okay. He needs to know he's in charge. He's doing a good job. Yeah, he's gonna need you to like lick his balls and show up and pretend to be his friend. If you don't do that, forget it. He's gonna string this thing way out. I just love that he officially went on national television with Michael Irvin and was like, I gave him the highest paid linebacker available, and his agent came back at me and said, shove it up your ass. It made me think about that. You know what it feels like to be told to shove something up your ass? It's really something. So I just think that this guy, just watch the whole glory hole thing. This dude shouldn't be allowed on camera. It's like if you're too rich for someone to tell you that your fly is down or you don't know what the word glory hole means, like someone needs to be managing PR in Dallas. And I think this man might have a little too much control, and he has hurt his brand. And I've said this before, and I will say it again. The Dallas Cowboys will never, ever win a Super Bowl until that man is dead in the fucking ground. And that is because he sold his soul for those 90s. And now you pay the price. You owe them one soul. And once that's paid, now the Cowboys could be contenders. Until then, we're just watching an old man spend his money.
Tyson, subtle as always, which I appreciate. I'll say this too. There's always going to be a big contract goes down like this. You sign a player. There's always going to be these haters be like, oh, he's not a locker room guy. And there's,
Yeah, I've heard people say that.
And you start to wonder about what connections, he might even have to like this team and how he's going to integrate himself in the locker room. Tyson, what are your thoughts on, is he going to be like a team player? Is he going to come in pretty seamlessly?
I don't know, man. It's hard to know when a guy is the best player on a bad team and he's the reason they won a lot of games. When the locker room is like, he's a real dick. I'm like, or are you bad and does that bother him? Because I feel like it's probably the second. And on defense, that's exactly what's been missing on our team. We've been missing that voice. We've been missing that attitude. We've been craving that guy, not afraid of that guy. We're welcoming him. It's what's been missing. We've got every other component laid out. Not only that, I don't know if you guys noticed, there was an NFL draft. This is totally off the wall. I'm sorry. There was an NFL draft. We just drafted there was a bunch of defensive tackles. Some of the best defensive tackles in football all got drafted. We didn't get one. But what's going to happen as a result? There's a bunch of great first-round starting defensive tackles that just had their replacement that was just picked, that's going to get out there and probably outplay them or play for pennies on the dollar. And you know what's going to happen to all those players? It's going to rain free agent defensive tackles for the next 2-3 years. The Packers timed this out perfectly, and Jerry Jones is a fool for saying, I get this Kenny Clark because we needed this now after the best defensive tackle draft in the last 25 years. We knew we needed to shore this up because we forgot to draft. I'm sorry. I'm going back to Jerry Jones. This guy's obsessed with us. He's obsessed with the Green Bay Packers. I don't know what it is, but he goes after our old coaches. He follows our old strategies. He's like, well, what are the Packers doing now? Let's just see if we can't. I think they're a pretty smart team. I might just trade him Micha. I just feel like he's really excited, but I don't think he's thinking clearly on this one because there's no one with eyes that can't see what you just did for the Green Bay Packers. You just gave us the missing ingredient. to this defense, right? And now you have no idea where the crazy's coming from, but it's coming, and you can't stop it all game long. There's no way. There's no way.
And Tyson, the craziest part too is oftentimes you try to trade somebody out of your division. Hopefully you don't see them for the next like 4 years, if at all. We played these guys week 4. So it's going to be on full display, the choices that were made. And that's one. Circle your calendar, gang. It's going to be incredible, honestly.
And Mayhew, to roundabout answer your question, I thought Micah Parsons was frustratingly cool when I saw him on the Dallas Cowboys. When I watched his interview with Jordan Love on his podcast, I was like, damn, dude, this guy's awesome. Like, I wish he was a Packer. It's a bummer he's a Cowboy, because he just seems like a cool dude. And like him and Jordan were like, just like laying out different strategies and talking shop. And I'm like, I don't know if Brett Favre would have been able to hang in this meeting in the same situation against the best defensive fucking player in football. You put him up against, LT, and you're like, oh, drop your best player out. And he'd be like, I don't know, I'll take a shot, man. I'm not going to. So like, I just think that what you saw out of Micah Parsons was a guy who loves football, loves competing, loves talking about how the strategy is, and doesn't think there's some magic, way to get things done. He's willing to disclose what he would do in these plays. And when Jordan Love came on his podcast, you really saw the chemistry between those guys. It felt like they were old friends, even though they had just met supposedly before that episode. And I just thought there was so much there that I was like, I kind of wanted him, and I'm like, we'll see. But I never expected Dallas to actually let this guy go. And honestly, I couldn't be more impressed with his fucking spine when he reaches a point with this negotiation where he says, no, old man, shove it up your ass. I'm done with you. You pissed me off. You fucked with the wrong dude. I'm done with you. I don't care how much you're going to pay me. I'm fucking done. I got morals. I got standards. Don't treat me like a piece of fucking meat. I'm out of here. So I feel like this is going to be amazing to watch. And I think he's a good dude. I think he's a great teammate. And I think he's the perfect fit for what Hafley wants to do.
Tyson, I couldn't agree with you more. We're going to take a short break here. When we come back, we're going to take a little bit closer look from a Packers perspective on this whole transaction a little bit. But we also are going to send you off quickly with, as Tyson alluded to,
Micah Parsons podcast featuring Jordan Love.
All right, particularly around a league that you feel like should come into the organization, can make an impact for y'all?
I mean, the dude sitting right next to me, man. You know what I mean? That'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool, no? You don't think so? You don't think so? How you feel about that? What would your take be on coming to Green Bay, man? Oh, it's too many Cowboy fans in the audience. There's too many Cowboy fans. My fault.
All right,
Two dads in a jazz, putting trophies on the wall. Two dads in a jazz is talking Green Bay Packers football. Not exactly qualified, but answers the call. Two dads in a jazz, talking Green Bay Packers football.
We gonna break it all down, probably leave out some facts. We gonna make some statements that we'll likely regret. Most of gossip and rumors made straight off the top. So crank up your air conditioning, cause it's bound to get hot. Two dads in a jazz, you know we live it.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you out here who aren't necessarily aware, the old Packer president, Mark Murphy, has had to move on. Forced retirement, which is one of the better clauses within the Green Bay organization. When you've kind of reached that point, they're like, yeah, you got to step aside, and move in for new blood. Tyson, his name sounds made up, and we've talked about this quite a bit. Ed Policy is now at the helm.
That's right.
What kind of impact do you think this guy's going to have, and maybe even particular in this Micah Parsons transaction?
Well, just going back to Mark Murphy, who I was, everyone was a fan of in the end for draft when he announced Golden. But we were not a big fan, throughout the experience. I think, whatever. He was all about the Disneyfication of the Green Bay Packers, turning it into a competitive on the same level as like the most sold out NFL team. We could compete on that level of finance, and we made a shit ton of money in that era. However, there was a bit of the football guy cutthroat that was missing in that flow chart, the way that it was set up. And I feel like when they brought in Ed Policy, I don't really know if they expected him to be the kind of authoritarian that he appears to be, but I'm fired up about this guy. We got Matt LaFleur and Goody. The Green Bay Packers have a real long history of glorifying our leadership to the point that it ruins them as individuals, making them believe that they're so important and they're so great just for being the Green Bay Packers coach, quarterback, whatever it is, that you are now anointed because you're part of this beautiful history of football to be God of football yourself. And then only when they don't prove it on the field are they brought back down to earth. So I feel like at this point, when you look at it on paper, Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst, you'd think would have already been re-signed. Usually they don't come into the final year of a contract for a coach and a general manager. Both of them have 2 years left on their contract, but usually that's when you'd re-sign a guy like that. The fact that this new stepdad came in and said, nah, I'm not going to re-sign anybody. We got 1 more year until we're in a lame duck year anyway. We have all the components to win a Super Bowl. I expect us to get there. Like, he's putting the pressure on Matt and Goody, and someone needs to do that. This is a beautiful thing we have in the Green Bay Packers. It's a committee. It's run from the top down, and there's always a boss or someone, even if you're working for the fans, there's pressure applied. And I feel like there hasn't really been that with the Mark Murphy era. And already this guy's coming in saying, yeah, show me, and we'll get you guys signed right up. Somebody else's trend. So the fact that we're doing this now, we're not setting a new trend. We're doing something that probably other teams are going to follow in this footsteps. We just realized this was our time, and this is a guy that's worth going completely against the grain. And we do this every decade or so. And I couldn't be more excited. May you tell me a little bit of history on our free agent pickups here as the Green Bay Packers?
Well, Tyson, I think everything you said aligns with the philosophy of this franchise since you and I became Packer fans. Early 90s when we came to prominence, it's followed like a similar mindset, right? I do think we're willing to pay when it makes sense. We will pay for great. We're not going to overpay for good. Okay.
Yeah.
And Ted Thompson, I think, is like the epitome of like never going to overpay for almost anything. Right. But the easy low hanging fruit here, Reggie White. Right. But that wasn't like we had to trade away too many assets. This motherfucker wanted to come here because he thought Brett Favre was a goddamn winner. And did we pay a ton of money? Absolutely. But for like almost the prime of his career, and you end up getting a Super Bowl. So that's example like number one, right? Example number one. We fast forward to the Ted Thompson era, where a man named Charles Woodson, I'm shocked still to this day, Tyson, that he became available, and the amount of teams that were like willing to acquire this guy was absolutely limited. He did not even want to come to Green Bay. He was vocal about it, wasn't a good fit at first, and then eventually turned into an NFL defensive MVP and helped us win a Super Bowl on a very reasonable contract. Ted Thompson, one of like the smartest moves he ever made. And it was like a game changer on defense. Where Tyson, as you alluded to earlier, we haven't had enough strong voices on that side of the ball, you know?
Right. And also we're known as the develop and draft team. Like, that's what we do. We draft, we develop, we draft, we develop, we export our great goods. That is the Green Bay Packers culture, right? Like, that's our thing. We usually don't go out and grab a player that someone else deems as their best player. That's just not a move that we're willing to do most of the time. And usually there's a big catch for those players. I just think that this happens but once every decade or so. And this is one of those moments. This is one of those moments. Charles Woodson, you're absolutely right, was exactly the same. Mayhew.
So where it shifts then from a GM standpoint, from Ted Thompson over to Goody, is where we saw it almost immediately. So he acquires Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith and that other safety who played for Chicago that I've already forgotten the name about. But he basically rebuilt the defense knowing that he had the money to almost overnight to then complement the offense, which wasn't like an issue with like Aaron Rodgers at that point. That was like the first time where I'm like, okay, so he's willing to spend the money. He's willing to bring in people in their prime, which has been a consistent theme with Goody. And he's willing to spend the money, but he's doing it like intelligently, in my opinion, right? Not giving away too many assets, getting Packer people, putting in the locker room, and we had a lot of success with them. Now, have we moved on from those people? Yes. And I think, Tyson, that's one of my favorite things about Gutekunst in comparison to someone like Ted Thompson. I think he's willing to admit his mistakes. He's willing to move on, acknowledge when players get too old, when the contracts don't make too much sense.
Yep.
And part of that is, let's take a look at this guy's track record beyond that. Xavier McKinney, did he pay a lot of money to him? Absolutely. Is this like a Pro Bowl player? Immediately. You felt the impact. Josh Jacobs, you have to let Aaron Jones go, which crushed everybody, broke our hearts, but you're telling me that wasn't an upgrade. And then this guy gives away 2 first-rounders, which I know must have been very difficult for him, along with a heavy amount of money to acquire what is probably the best pass rusher in the NFL right now for the prime of his career, Tyson. And I applaud it, you know?
Yeah, it takes major balls. This is the kind of move the Packers don't usually make, and you can count on them not to make. You hear about them being in the conversation, you know, from all kinds of great players from the past, but they almost never pull the trigger. This is just a really exciting signing, and a guy who is at a point in his career that he has a lot to give, you know, and this isn't what's left of a Hall of Famer. This is a guy that's going to be proving his Hall of Fame status over the next 5-6 years. And I'm excited to be the team that has a weapon that can't be stopped on defense.
And we've talked about that too, like having playmakers on all levels of the field, right? You know, for the longest time, it was, I don't think any like offensive coordinator had to like game plan for like certain individuals, right? Rashawn Gary puts up decent numbers. We like him. We think he's a playmaker. Super elite where like he gives, you know, offensive coordinators nightmares. I don't think that's the case.
No.
We moved to the middle of the field where Edgerrin Cooper came out of nowhere last year and like, okay, we got it. Xavier McKinney, like on the back end. I think now we're slowly kind of acquiring that level of difficulty where, man, we can scheme and throw a lot of different things at you. I think like you're saying, it's like, man, you got LVN, Rashawn Gary, Micah Parsons. We can rotate those guys. Man, we can throw Micah in the middle if we want to. He can blitz from the inside. You got Edgerrin Cooper, Quay Walker, hungry to like get his next contract. Things are kind of lining up here for a defense under Jeff Hafley that could just be fun and creative.
Also, let's not forget that we did have some defensive tackles that gained some weight to come in and fill that
Let's
gap.
not forget about the fat guys. Yeah, let's go.
Not forget about them. And we have a totally different 4-3 kind of lineup. So I'm very curious to see how that middle of the field looks, but there's a lot of pressure and a lot of strength that comes from areas that we are not accustomed to just by adding this one player. It really changes the entire dynamic of how we can get pressure on the quarterback.
We got to talk about the money a little bit here too. $120 million guaranteed in this deal. Overall, I mean, you look at the pay just on paper, 186 million. This is all just like fluff, like, by the way. But I'm curious what your thoughts are on what we gave away and what it might look like in effect to players that we want to kind of sign and hold on to in the future here.
I feel like this trade shows a new era of the Green Bay Packers. The old Green Bay Packers re-signed Kenny because we drafted and developed him. We overpay for a guy who just had a mediocre year with a broken foot. We give him a new contract, and he plays the rest of his career in a mediocre fashion. Instead, we took that player, and we took what value is left with him, and we traded him for a gamble on a much higher rated player. That is a different point of attack than the Green Bay Packers would usually take. So Kenny Clark though he was one of the most important players we had on the Green Bay Packers for a long time, he hasn't, since Devontae Wyatt, I would say he has taken a step back, and I expect him to not reignite in his 30s. That's just not our how we do it. So I think that it makes sense that we let him go. Not only do we let him go, we got an exciting new aggressive whole defense out of this one player.
No, I think it's important for fans to realize too, the re-signing of Kenny Clark at the age he was with the production that he has kind of put together. And again, this guy had like a broken toe last year. I do think he's going to have a bounce back year. It was a bad contract that we also were able to dump off onto the Dallas Cowboys, where it's just kind of a win-win situation. Tyson, I have a hard time feeling like we didn't come out on top of this entire thing. And most people or forums like you look at, they all kind of feel the same way. Dallas Cowboy forums are pretty fun right now. They basically are just wildly depressed.
They're always outraged. I mean, no one's outraged more than the worst teams in football, and that is the Dallas Cowboys and the Chicago Bears. Those fan bases have tantrums like no other fan base. Like, you'd think they get used to it, but that's the way they react is why. That's why they're a bad team. They don't get it. They feel entitled to success without any of the work that goes into a successful team, without any of the leadership required. So that's the reason why. And this is Jerry, once again, not being willing to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Instead, he just pays $1 billion and lets him go to another team. That we'll see who gets the last laugh. I'm going to have me a McDonald's sandwich.
I was going to say your impressions are so good. Just keep salting up that burger as you go along. Right. I tell you what, we're going to take another quick commercial break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about some the latest health news in regards to Micha Parsons. So stick around.
Two dads in a Chaz, putting trophies on the wall. Two dads in a Chaz is talking Green Bay Packers football. Not exactly qualified, but answers the call. Two dads in a Chaz, talking Green Bay Packers football.
We gonna break it all down, probably leave out some facts. We gonna make some statements that we'll likely regret. Most of gossip and rumors made straight off.
And we're back. Tyson, just as quick as we signed this guy, even quicker came out some health news as of recent. A lot of speculation, a lot of twirling news going on. Can you give our fan base an actual factual idea what the fuck is going on with Micha Parsons right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's got a sprained back. You know, it's get a couple injections in there and get out there and play some football. I mean, I don't know, man. These guys, they get hurt, and this seems like a minor, but in the real world, severe injury that would require a light epidural to play football. But for football players, I mean, that's just practice. You know, it's hard to say if this is going to be. It doesn't look like it's a long-term injury. It is a gamble to play through it, which is his choice to do. However, I understand his need to get out there and play, and our need to be like, yeah, you're gonna need to play through that. You're getting paid $100 billion, so come on in, show us how much you care about football. And I don't think that we could keep him off the field if he wants to play. But yeah, it's definitely concerning anytime there's any issue with anyone's back, especially the lower back. That is it's never good news.
Yeah, I think look, anybody who's followed this team for a long time knows that the medical staff is renowned throughout the entire league. Like literally other players from teams will fly in to either get like surgeries or just like, second opinions from our staff. So you trust them. And if you're going to give $120 million like guaranteed to a guy, they're well aware of the situation. They are clearly comfortable with it. But Tyson, it makes me nervous. I don't like epidural injections. Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Just to get through like week 1.
Well, I mean, he's just dealing with an L4, L5 facet joint sprain. You know,
everybody knows what that means, I
require just a light epidural. Nothing crazy. Not like the epidural your wife may or may not have had. Not like that. He's not going numb in the legs. It's just gonna, allow him to participate in the game.
Fair enough. We need playmakers on the field, right?
It seems like the move is to take a big free agent contract for the Packers, do the opening conference, get a couple clips of you throwing stuff around in practice, and then be like, my back, so I got to go sit down for a while. And you're like, what just happened? We just got this guy. However, I can't tell you how many small injuries you see these big name free agents have, and it just doesn't affect them on the field. It just doesn't seem like it's a big deal at all. Charles Woodson seemed to have weird wrist and shoulder stuff the whole time. Played great. I'm not saying that there's a point in your career where that's not going to be a big deal. And it's when you're like, I don't know, 27 years old. So like, I feel like he's right in the right spot in terms of his age to be able to play through most of these issues. Hopefully we'll get a lot of playing time out of him. He won't be the kind of guy. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that's a Jair that needs to be 70 or 80% before he's willing to practice. This seems like a guy that you gotta fight to take his helmet away. He wants to play.
That's fair. That's fair. And for the guys that have established themselves and they're 27, 28 on bigger contracts, and you just don't want to practice early on, and it's like, my back, that's fine.
I'll be honest, I don't want this guy practicing. I think it's awesome. Him coming off cold, like has barely practiced. Like his body, his back's tight. The rest of him, not sore at all. This dude is like ready to fuck someone up and probably feels amazing right now. So like if you get that star treatment and you've been playing through stuff before, like, I don't know, man, it could go a long way. That could really help build him back up. And again, it's not just we got another defensive end or another linebacker. It's the mystique. It's the Mike Tyson of it all. It's the fear of like, this dude, you don't know where he's coming from. You don't know how he gets through, but he consistently wrecks game plans, and you can't figure out what he's going to be from a week to week. So it's really hard, and you can't double everybody on our team. So there is a part of me that's very concerned about that. But then I think about all the defensive players that I've seen play through so much stuff, and I just have a feeling we're going to see who he is. And he seems like he's got a lot of pride. I don't anticipate him taking any games off that he can play in. He just seems like a guy who wants to hit.
Yeah, fair enough. And for me, I would just love for the entire team in some capacity, then they walk through the door in fucking March or April to just not be hurt, Tyson. I don't think that's a lot to ask. But in regards to Micha, if you're the coach and like, look, man, this guy, I'm sure he's working out. I'm sure he's doing everything he can, but he has not played meaningful football, not practice with like the Dallas Cowboys. He's just coming in, getting his first practice days with the Packers, learning the defense. If it was you, Tyson, with the best approach moving forward, what are you going to do with this guy? You going to slowly introduce him? You going to fucking just go for it? Like, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to be using him on passing downs, second, third downs, fourth downs if we're playing against the Lions. I'm going to be using him on important pass rushing downs. They know his number one asset that he can bring to the table is an unbelievable pass rush. And you don't know where it's coming from until he lines up. So I'd imagine we're going to use him with Rashawn Gary, and who knows who else. But I'd imagine that's how we're going to use him. We're not going to be using him as much on running downs. We don't need him out there taking shots and doing stuff. We need him getting after the passer. So I'd imagine that's where we'll use him at the beginning. I think that we're going to be using the way that I see the beginning of the year going, heavy dose of exciting new pass rush to give a break to the defensive backs that are new and need to develop some stamina and some confidence. And then a bunch of new wide receiver action to our new rookie wideout to make everybody forget about all the other good wideouts on this team. And then we have a whole other 3 quarters of football to go after we get down the first half of the first quarter of this year. and everybody is only focused on these 2 players. Well, now you got a whole other team that you can game plan for. So really, I think what we could do best is have the conversation be about number 0 and number 1 for the first 4 weeks of football. If that is the conversation that everyone is obsessed with, our rookie wide receiver and our newly acquired pass rusher specialist, we got him right where we want him.
Let's play some number ball.
Number ball.
Okay. So Micah Parsons was number 11 at Dallas. And can you just fill in our audience as how this whole thing transpired and what he will be wearing going forward for the Green Bay Packers?
Well, Micah Parsons came in, and I guess he was like, I'd like to be number 1. And they're like, whatever you want. You bet. Number 1, no problem. Who was number 1? Curly Lambeau. No, I did say yes. Yep, you can be number 1. And then Matthew's like, hey, coach. Hey, how's it going? Matt Golden. Just saying, maybe I could be number 0. I've always wanted to be number 0. It has no value. I thought it would be dope to be the only number 0 the Packers have ever had.
So dope.
It's like, we just got Michael Parsons. I don't give a shit. What do you want? Number 0? You what? We already sold a bunch of 22 jerseys? That was stupid already. Sure, why not? Let's do 0. Let's just keep it going. What the fuck? Why not? We got number 0, number 1. Who's going to be negative 0? Who's going to be the next? We're going next. So we Rose the Ghost, Curly Lambeau said, move over. Micah Parsons is here. That's the caliber he is. And then our rookie wideout's like, maybe me too. The real story is the number 11 on the team, Jaden Reed, who's been kind of had a complicated offseason, starting with him and his agent talking to the team about how he didn't like his role on the team. How he expected to be used a little more than just a slot receiver. And he wanted to be what did he want to be? Number 1? Did he want to be number 1? I think he asked to be number 1 when he first came to the Packers, and we're like, no, that's Curly Lambeau's number. We don't do that. Okay. Choose another, and you want to be number 11, you can do that. And he's like, all right, I'll be number 11. That's cool. It's cool. It's number 11. Meanwhile, someone else just got number 1, and we just drafted a rookie wide receiver who got number 0. So I just don't know if Jaden Reed is feeling the love exactly. But also, you got to catch the ball, bud. You got to catch the ball if you want to be a star. You want to demand numbers, you got to catch the ball. You can't drop the ball, So I feel like it's a prove it year for him. But, he's probably a little salty considering the pattern of everything, and he is also playing through an injury. As long as we're talking injuries, this guy is playing through a pretty severe foot injury that most guys sit out and get a surgery on. He's decided to just play through it. Which
Jones fracture. Yeah.
So it's not. It's just one that doesn't let you cut, and then coming from the slot, I'd imagine that won't come up much. Making cuts. I just think he's a tough as nails competitor. This guy's only missed 1 game his entire career as the Green Bay Packers, the Jaden Reed, and he's been injured a lot of games. He just plays through stuff. He's a tough dude. I respect him. I like him. We did just draft like a carbon copy, younger version of him in Matthew Golden. However, I still think that there's going to be a quarter of this season where Jaden Reed's the best wide receiver on the team. Like, we have enough guys on the team that can have a quarter, each one of them. First quarter is Matthew Golden. Second quarter is going to be turn to Christian Watson. Third quarter is going to be remember Jaden Reed. And if this guy's still on the team, the fourth quarter is going to be playoff time, Dontavion Wicks and Dobbs, because those guys get hot at the end of the year.
Tyson, anything more that we might have missed on this whole Micah Parsons project? I mean, the guy's a great dresser. He's got a podcast of his own. Fans get ready to just be immersed in Packer information.
One more thing that we need to remember is that I think in taking Matt Halfley out of college football, introducing him to the NFL, he's given Matt a little spark, our head coach, a little spark and a little, confidence. However, it's very clear with every press conference, Jeff Halfley's a head coach. That's a head coach talking right there. He's got the tone. He's got the attitude. All he needs is the resume. A player like Micah Parsons is the kind of player you don't leave town for. This is the kind of player you stay and get a Hall of Fame coaching career from. This is a Dick LeBeau situation. This is a guy that, like, you can write a defensive strategy that changes the league because you have a special player. That's not guaranteed on every team. So I'm very curious to see, with the next 2 years remaining on Jeff Hafley's deal, what Micah Parsons means for that relationship and how far we can get. So I think that the main thing is that you need a wild card special weapon for a coach like Jeff Hafley to really show what he can do, and we just gave him that weapon.
Very well said. I think Jeff Hafley is the maestro who last year did an incredible amount of good with what I think is like very little, and now the entire defense has another year in his scheme of understanding. And you introduce Micah Parsons, like this guy just might. Let's see what he can do, right? All right. Well, thank you to all you loyal listeners. Reminding you to like, to share, do all those things that just kind of help spread the word of 2D NC. We're going to close out this episode, and we will be kicking out another one before Sunday to kind of break down this Lions season opener game. We couldn't be more excited about it. Tyson, anything to say to the public?
Just thanks for coming out for another season of us doing our best to bring our opinions of the Packers to your ears, keep you informed and entertained, hopefully.
You're the visiting team. Who will call it? I'm going to call it. What do you call it? I'd like to call heads. Heads is called. We want the ball, we're going to score.
Hasselbeck maybe changing the play at the line. Looks left and right. Takes the snap. Short drop. Quick throw. Left side. Intercepted. Down the right side. Going down the right side. Into the end zone. It is Al Harris. Touchdown. Dagger. Al Harris. 56 yards to a game-winning touchdown. Green Bay Packers.
Two dads and a Chaz, putting trophies on the wall. Two dads and a Chaz is talking Green Bay Packers football. Not exactly qualified, but answers the call. Two dads and a Chaz talking Green Bay Packers football.
We gonna break it all down, probably leave out some facts. We gonna make some statements that we'll likely regret. Most of gossip and rumors made straight off the top. So crank up the air condition, cause it's bound to get hot.
Two dads and a Chaz, you know we live it and we live it right. Two dads and a Chaz, we gonna break down football for you tonight. Besides them rings and putting trophies on the wall.
Trophies, y'all.
Two dads and a Chaz is talking Green Bay Packers football. Yeah, we talking Green Bay Packers football.